Praise ye the Lord. Hallelujah. Today we are looking to the prophetic ministry of Prophet Jeremiah. God nicknamed him his battle axe and weapons of war. Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 20 to 33. God fortified Jeremiah against the evil powers in his time, false prophetic, pastoral, and priesthood ministries. He told him, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 8, Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee, to deliver thee, saith the Lord. As a true prophet of God, Jeremiah confronted these forces, holding God's people in spiritual, economic, and political bondage. These forces have taken over the state of Judah and the church that then was, spiritually and politically. The biggest challenge for a genuine prophet of God is the false prophets, the prophets of Baal. As I have well shown in this series, God's prophets of the Bible are revivalists, socio-political activists, and deliverance ministers. Politics, the activities associated with the governance of a people, is a platform for a great influence. As the scope of this influence is vast, both God and the devil have vested interest in politics. In biblical time, God's prophets are not a political, they are his spiritual and political voice, the representatives of his constituency, his people. Prophets relay God's agenda to God's people and enforce it at different spheres of their life. The biggest trick of the enemy against today's church is tricking the church into shying away from politics. As it is today, so it was in Jeremiah's time. The occultists hijacked the government of the weak king of Judah, Zedekiah. He was marooned by the occultist field cabinet. While secretly he sought Jeremiah's prophetic guidance, he was too afraid to heed it. As a revivalist and deliverance minister, Jeremiah contested these false prophets, giving false hopes and leading the nation down the destructive path, countering its warning of impending northern threat. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 14. They dress the wound of my people as though it were not serious. Peace, peace, they say, where there is no peace. Peace, peace, where there is no peace. False prophets are soothsayers. They tell folks only what they like to hear. They pat the wound where it festers into a putrid mess. Unlike Jeremiah, they had to say what God put in his mouth. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 7. For thou shalt go to war that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Jeremiah chapter 23 summarizes the practices of these agents of bondage. Verse 13, they scatter God's people. Verse 9, they weaken the hands of genuine prophets. Verses 10 to 11, they are corrupt. As agents of pollution, they corrupt others. They use diabolic means, voodoo, resigned by Baal. Because their ministry is all about themselves, not God, they enable evildoers. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 14. Among the prophets of Samaria, I saw something horrible. They commit adultery and live a lie. They strengthen the hands of evildoers so that no one turns from their wickedness. They are all like Sodom to me. The people of Jerusalem are like Gomorrah. False prophets not only give false hopes, verse 17, they religiously do it. Verse 21. God told his servant Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 22, But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings. These wells without water viciously compete with God's prophet. Pastor slapped Jeremiah as he ministered. Jeremiah chapter 20, verses 1 to 3. Prophet Ananiah countered and refuted his prophecy. Chapter 28. Shemaiah threatened him. Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 31 to 32. For God's prophets, genuine prophets, biblical prophets, the motto is God first. The battle cry is freedom for God's people. They strengthen God's people, not align with the false prophets. He that prophesies, preaches, or predicts does so for the edification, exhortation, and comfort of God's people.